I wanted to give a quick introduction about the exhibition and just talk briefly about some of the themes and the show itself. So Levitate, Me, Desire, Ecstasy and the Sublime is my first institutional show. I'm from Southampton. I live and work in London now, and I made the majority of this work in my studio in London in between touring with the Pixies. I'm also a musician, and I spend sort of half and half time on the road and a lot of time in my studio making the work. So this the work in this show is majority new paintings, which I've done whilst in between being on tour. So when I got offered the exhibition, I've come to this gallery my whole life, and it was such an amazing moment of what can I do in this space. The rooms are very grand and regal, and they command this presence. So I really wanted to make a strong exhibition, and there are some themes which have appeared in my work over many years now, and it was a really great chance to focus on these themes a bit further. So the main themes running through the show are desire, and desire, transcendence, and the sublime. And the first room is called Daring to Desire, and this room focuses mainly on female desire and sexuality, but also ambition and drive. And a lot of the work looks at pleasure and sexuality and connection and intimacy, but also the more vulnerable and the certain aspects of shame and taboo that occur around this subject. I've chosen works from the collection throughout the show, and in this room I was lucky enough to pick some really key pieces that I've loved for a long time. So there's an incredible painting by Sophronis Banguasola, who is a stunning talent, and you'll be talking about her. Also Helen Chadwick and Ithell Colquhoun, incredible British surrealist painter. So to have these works hanging alongside mine is just an absolute pleasure and a joy. I can't quite believe it's happened. So this first room leads you into the exhibition, and the walls are quite dark. I want it to be quite womb-like and kind of intimate, and it's very much looking at these themes from a very intimate, solitary, personal place. And then walking into room 2, which is called the Ecstatic Expanse. And this room really opens up, and it's really light and bright, and the works are on a slightly larger scale, and they're dealing with ideas of transcendence, which it's been such a big inspiration to me. Being on tour for about the past 20 years and playing live music, it's really affected how I look at this idea and this theme, because there's something quite magical and special about walking out on stage and having this sort of adrenaline rush, and then experiencing huge rooms of people all kind of this sort of electrical charge of energy together in this kind of connection. And it led me to research deeper into how, as humans, we have looked to find these experiences in our lives throughout history, whether that's through kind of dancing or solitary meditation or intoxication or being in religious spaces or being in the natural world. And so through painting and through using oil paint, it fascinates me to try and create something, finding my own visual language to represent these feelings and ideas and states. So then travelling through into the third room, it's called Sublime Worlds. And again, this idea of this kind of feelings and experiences of the human in nature. So looking at the power of the sublime and the fear and awe we get in the natural, witnessing the power of the natural world. So thinking about the sublime in that sense, and how artists through history have used painting especially to convey ideas of the anxieties of the time. So I've been thinking about the sublime in a contemporary way at this point in time, and what we're all living through this with the climate instability and this sort of rapid technological advance. So making work which looks to these internal worlds and struggles we have within us, and how it's done in oil paint, what's my language and what's my sort of visual representation, and the excitement of finding, how to represent this. So yeah, then the final room is it's showing my workings out. So I really wanted to include my sketchbooks and reference books of artists I've been looking at. I've also included a library of a playlist of music that I was listening to whilst making all the work over the past couple of years. And there's also works on paper which have been some of the works I've been doing on tour. Well, I take watercolour and acrylic with me when I'm away, and I work small on paper. And some of them are sort of small canvases which I either start some ideas, testing compositions and colourways out. So it was important to me to show my kind of process and thoughts and ideas and how I start.